Alright, twagiye. Hello wonderful peoples, welcome to the very first Theoisback podcast. Today is a special day because it is my birthday. I've been thinking about starting a podcast for a while now, so why not start it on my birthday? So, welcome to the very first birthday podcast. First podcast ever. I hope you're all doing well. Glad you made it. So guys, I've been thinking about a lot for today's topic. What does one talk about in their first podcast series actually? I don't know. So the topic I want to talk about today is how to be yourself in a relationship as a man. I know it might be a bit random, it might be a bit too niche, but I guess in this podcast series I want to go into depth about topics that I don't always talk about on YouTube or on other platforms or like on Instagram or something like that. And because it is audio, I know audio is it feels a bit intimate, you know, like I can hear the sound that's coming out of this mic straight into my ears, so it warrants a kind of like a more intimate conversation, which is what I'm going to try to deal with today. So why talk about this topic? Well, I'm 33 years old today. I feel like now at this age I am finally starting to see how long life is actually. And funny thing, 10 years ago I thought, you know, when I was 30 that would be like the max or something. That would be old, you know. So funny. Now that I'm in my 30s, I feel like, oh my god. Now I know I'm a child in life. I feel younger actually. It's very weird because the young people probably see me as the old guy. So I didn't want to talk about the cliche things, about the things I learned in my 32 years or 33 years on Earth, because, like I said, I feel like I'm a child. And I know many people who are older feel the same way too, because just get to a point when you realize, I thought I knew, but now I know that I did not know actually. Don't know if that makes sense. So in today's topic, I want to talk about how to be yourself in a relationship as a man. Mostly because, let's be honest guys, we do not talk about these topics between ourselves. I never really have the motivation to go initiate this kind of conversation with a guy, and when we do talk about it, it's usually under intoxication or not planned at all, or maybe out of frustration because maybe we've lost something or, you know, we've gone too far. So staying true to that and seeing that it is my birthday, I'm going to have a drink. So for those who can see me, I'm pouring a glass of Cointreau, one of my favorite drinks. Yeah. So for those of you guys wondering, technically I'm recording this video a few days before my birthday, because this is going to be my first podcast ever. I needed some time to figure out how this thing works, you know. Believe it or not, I'm just recording this. I don't know how to upload. I don't know how the editing thing works. I just thought, let me do it now. Otherwise, I'm not gonna do it at all. So, cheers, wherever you are. If you can see me, if you can hear me, this shot is for you. All right. Oof, I like that. So I made a few notes just to stay on track. You know me, I like to keep it concise. But at the same time, I'm trying to be more loose because I find it difficult to talk about bullshit. I don't like people talking about bullshit, so I don't like, you know, to waste people's time. So that's why every time when I want to post something, I tend to think about it, and sometimes I think about it too long. So for those of you who are listening for the first time, who do not know me, who who's wondering what is this guy mumbling about, let me introduce myself. My name is Theo Mutesa. I was born and raised in Rwanda, and right around 1994, we fled the country because of the genocide that happened against the Tutsis. We bounced around a few countries. I lived in Congo, in Zambia, and then at the end we moved to Europe, where I landed in the Netherlands. So I say I, but of course it was my parents who arranged all of those things. So I arrived in the Netherlands when I was about 10 years old. I remember it was January, it was cold, and personally I kind of loved the whole experience. People say children need a consistent environment. Me, I beg to differ. I love the whole moving around. We went places, you made new friends, then we moved on. Then again, we were, I guess, lucky that nothing bad really happened between us. We were separated as a family for 2 years or so, but within those 2 years, it was kind of arranged in a way. So we knew where at least my parents knew where they were in communication. So there was nothing really strange happening. We were just boys. For the people watching me on YouTube, I can show you a picture of my brothers. So I have 3 brothers. And so when we were moving around, we were just boys playing around, playing in the streets. And then my mother always said, "You guys, you didn't know what was going on. You were just playing, and then before you knew it, someone called you to come and eat, and then that was your life." And I was like, yeah, that was really mostly our life. Many things were happening, but we didn't know what was happening. So after moving to the Netherlands, we kind of stayed there. I like to say I that's where I got my education. I got my first girlfriend, first paying job, everything. After 20 years or so living in the Netherlands, in Europe, I decided to come back to Rwanda, to come back to the country where I was born, to help rebuild the country, to help, to start a new life in a way. So that's what brought me here. Anyway, this story you can also find on my YouTube. But I guess what I do not talk about mostly on my YouTube channel is that what's relating to this topic. As I grow older now, I'm finding it more and more difficult to kind of to state myself. When you're young, everything's so pure. You like this, you don't like this. You like that guy, you don't like that guy. It's kind of straightforward. But the older I get, the more knowledge I have, the more I know I need to eat those vegetables sometimes. Things that I don't like, but I know that's good for me. I know I need to be in contact with these kind of people because it's beneficial for me or for my business or whatever. So the more I move around like that, the more I feel like I'm kind of losing myself. And then comes a relationship, which is the topic of today. How to stay yourself in a relationship. So personally, I'm in an almost 4-year relationship right now with my girlfriend. It's been going great, to be honest. There's no complaints over there, except for one thing. This is my longest relationship I've ever had, and the longer I stay in it, the more I feel like I am morphing. I am morphing with her. So every time when I have some ideas, some things, I tend to want to bounce it off her. I ask her opinion about a lot of stuff, and then mostly I get this kind of, I call it a girly opinion, like an opinion from a girl's perspective, which is not always bad, of course, but it's not me. And then I get frustrated. I'm like, but then I'm like, I'm the one who asked for the opinion. And it's hard when you're in such a committed relationship not to become like the other person. So that's how I'm feeling it. I feel like I'm becoming more and more like her. I'm thinking more like her. I'm thinking more through her, which makes it tough. And it makes it tough, particularly as a guy. Let me explain. So guys, I don't know if people can leave comments on podcast, but I know on YouTube it's possible. But just let me know, am I the only one who feels this? So why is it like an issue, I would say, not to listen to her in a way, because I feel it in my gut that it's not good to be too entrenched with her in a way, because first of all, in a relationship between man and woman, there's no real equality. I know we are living in the world where we want to have everything equal, gender balance and everything, but there's still no real equality. The way I see it, it's like when you're going somewhere with someone in a car and the man is driving the car. So even though the woman is the passenger and she is a valued co-passenger and who might even decide the destination and everything, the man is the one who's driving the car. So what happens if, let's say, the lady says, let's take this exit, and you as the guy who's driving, you take the exit, and then it happens to be wrong or something happens along the road, it is still the responsibility of the guy. The responsibility still falls on the guy because he was the one who was driving the car. So that's how I'm feeling mostly when I'm in a relationship, with my girl. I feel like I'm responsible. I'm driving somewhere. And sometimes for those who drive cars, who have licenses, sometimes when you're driving, you have an inch, you have like a reflex. There's just something that you feel how the car is moving, or you have a certain thing, and then you base your decisions on those kind of things, and which a co-passenger cannot fully experience. When you push on the gas pedal, how fast your car moves. So if you want to undertake a car, how fast they can be. Or you might have looked at the map and just look at the gas. I don't know. There's just things that as a driver you have more knowledge of than the person who is in the co-passenger seat. So with that said, because I am the driver, I still need to stay kind of like focused on the road. Even though my co-passenger can come and give their opinion, I still need to stay focused on the road. Know that I'm the one driving this car. So, talking about that, I know I might be rambling, but I'm going to a point. I've been in a committed 4-year relationship with my girlfriend, and 2 of those 4 years were long distance, which makes it kind of like tough in a way, but it also kind of challenged our relationship, which I'll tell you was how it has been beneficial to answering the question how to be yourself. I'm going to tell it about later. I'm going to talk about it later. So, and recently we also been talking about further steps. So after this relationship, like I said, we've been 4 years together, 2 years in a long distance relationship, and now 3 months we've been like living together fully. And that's a whole other thing. Like, so that's where I get this feeling of, I feel like I'm almost like losing myself. I'm being morphed together with her, because you're living together day by day, and the first ideas you get in your mind, you bounce off her, and vice versa. Anyway, so this is why I feel like a man needs to be able to stay themselves more maybe than a woman, because the man is the one who's driving this relationship. At least in a typical Rwandan or monogamous relationship, I would say. And I find that I have sometimes issues with that. I don't know how to explain it really well. So what does that mean, to be yourself in a way? How I classify it is just always having some kind of like North Star, somewhere to go to. And I generally have that, but I remember the feeling when I was single is that I was always striving for something. I was always going somewhere, and I was not satisfied. So because I was not satisfied, every day I woke up striving for something. But when you're in a relationship, you kind of get a bit comfortable. No one really talks about it. You get a bit comfortable, so that goal that you put there, it can wait maybe a day or two, because Sunday you might want to stay in bed instead of actually doing like working up and doing a workout or something like that. So how does one be themselves in a relationship? With my full 33 years of experience, I'm gonna give you 3 tips. Again, this is just my personal experience. You might have a different experience. Let me know. Um, I guess the number one thing on how to really be yourself in a relationship is you have to test yourself. That's my experience so far, at least. You have to test yourself. By testing yourself, you will discover what your true self is. And if you don't test yourself, you'll always be lost. Again, this video is maybe more geared towards guys, if you have not noticed by now, because I'm a guy, and these are issues that I think mostly are related to guys. Women have their own issues, but I cannot really relate to those. So that's what I'm talking about. So how does one test themselves? Okay, number one, I would say, again, also from personal experience, you need to be in a long-term relationship with a woman. You see, the first time I started a relationship, for me, I was like 17 or 16. I did it out of a bet, in a way. Not like a real bet, but more as a challenge. Because people were saying back then, I was like in high school, that being in a relationship with one girl is boring. So I wanted to challenge that hypothesis. So once I started having a relationship with my girlfriend back then in high school, if she's watching or listening, you know who you are. I found out actually the biggest reward that I got from it is that I got to learn so much about myself. You get really tested when you're with someone, your assumptions and your views and everything. So it was like intriguing. Being with someone else revealed more about myself, and it tested my boundaries in a way I could not have thought of before. So number one, I would say, you need to be like in a long-term relationship. And I know this sounds maybe boring or whatever, but now that I'm old, I'm realizing that there are many people out there who have never had more than a year worth of relationship, for example. And for me, relationships, they're not very hard for me personally, but I know I know I'm not the majority, especially for guys. So being in a long-term relationship, long-term I consider more than a year at least, because then you've seen all seasons of the year, we've been with that person, you will discover so many things about yourself, you'll be surprised. Number two, how to test yourself in order to be yourself, is you need to change your physical appearance. Let me repeat that. I feel like I'm mumbling. You need to change your physical appearance. So that means if you're fat, lose weight. If you're skinny, gain some muscle, or maybe even gain some fat. Become bigger in a way. Because I've seen every time when personally, I'm a trainer. I'm a personal trainer. So I even like the whole process of training and changing your body. But when you change your body, there's just something that happens with your environment. There's something that happens with yourself. For example, if you're fat, if you're like big guy, and you want to lose weight, you want to have a six-pack or whatever, you go through so many steps. Most of it, which is more psychological. Your whole relationship with food changes. Your whole relationship with like restrictions, things changes. It's like a personal battle in a way. When you are testing yourself through your physical, you are testing your true self. Because when you're at home thinking, okay, I'm losing weight, I should not be eating those cookies, but then you have those cookies in the house, are you still gonna eat it, yes or no? And if you eat it, this is where the interesting things happen. What kind of self-talk do you have after that? For example, you've eaten the cookie that you're not allowed to eat because it's not good for your change that you're doing. Now, do you tell yourself like, okay, shit, I fucked up, tomorrow I'll try again? Or do you tell yourself, you fat fuck, how could you do that? You'll never get that six-pack or whatever. You see, so when you're testing yourself, and the more often you do, basically if you keep doing until you succeed, you will find a way to where your true character will come out. You will realize like, hey, maybe I'm weak like that, or what, maybe I'm one who's very disciplined. But you will test yourself and you will get an answer from that, from changing your appearance. And of course it also applies for the other way around. If you skinny and you want to gain muscle, honestly, I can tell you as a trainer, it's harder to gain weight, specifically muscle, than it is to lose fat. So for the skinny people, they have to work really hard and they have to be more disciplined than someone who's coming from a higher body weight and they want to lose weight. But the same thing happens there. You come home and you are full, but you know you need to eat. So you need to find a way to find the discipline to make food and eat even though you don't feel like eating. So change your physical appearance and you'll be testing yourself to know who you truly are. And the last one, how to be yourself by testing yourself. By testing yourself, you know how to be yourself. The last way of how to test yourself, you need to make a lot of money. Yes, you need to make a lot of money. For the people out there who are wondering what this has to do with anything, as a guy, our beauty is basically related to our resources. The more rich a guy is, the more prettier he is. You see it, girls like rich guys. But for us guys, also our self-esteem is somehow wrapped into money. There's no insecure rich guy out there. He might be, but he has so many ways of camouflaging it or living with it in a more, chill manner, I would say. So when you are making money, your self-esteem changes, the environment changes around you because, you can afford better things, you can live in better neighborhood, you attract prettier women. Life changes basically when you make more money. Now, I know some of you who are listening might be thinking like, well, listen, Theo, I don't know about the making money part. I'm already doing my best and I'm barely getting by. So to you, I would say, if you feel like you cannot make a significant amount of money that will change your life, try this. Something else I've tried myself. Trying living in a cheaper place. And I'm not talking about cheaper neighborhood, like in a cheaper country. Go live in Thailand or Vietnam. Come to Africa in Zimbabwe or Rwanda, where your money comes for almost double. You see, in these countries where the standard of living is much lower, when you come there with a foreign currency, and it doesn't matter, you might even come from Kenya. These countries, there's always a country that's cheaper than the ones you are in. Once you go there with your foreign currency, you exchange, or you still work online and you're still making your foreign currency there, you are technically rich in that country. And then, life changes as well. Excuse me. Just to give you an example. So like I told you, I grew up in the Netherlands mostly. Amsterdam to be specific. Amsterdam is also known to be one of the countries where prostitution is legal. So for those who don't know, yes, you can just go and buy sex basically. And there's hookers there. They have their stands. They pay taxes. It's all legal. And it's all happening in public. So I lived in near the city, and I used to have a lot of friends who would go to prostitution things, and I would bring them sometimes, as an attraction, but some of them would even go in, pay for sex, and then get out. I personally never went there because I lived there, and I did not, there was no appeal for me to get there. But also in the back of my mind, I always thought about it, is you had to pay 50 euros, and you just went in there for 10 to 20 minutes max, and that's it. In my mind, I was like, man, that's a lot of money for 20 minutes. So I didn't really want to, but then at the same time, I always thought that if I ever wanted to, would I pay that much money for 20 minutes? Anyway, so when I came to Rwanda, I realized that there is also prostitution here. It is maybe not as open and legal as it was in Amsterdam, but it's here. And the women here, they are charging, how much do you think? Charging, it's 5 to 10 euros even sometimes. So when the price goes so low, then you start, asking by yourself, your relationship with that deed changes, because it has, like I said, for myself, I thought I was doing it out of morals or like, no, I'm good, I don't need blah 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 blah. But once I came here and I realized, wait a second, for 10 euros I can buy sex, man. For that amount of money I can, So I got tested in that direction as well, because then you realize, oh my god, this attraction or this possibility that I have because of my money that I have, it is the thing that was stopping me from doing that, the barrier just got lowered, and I'm talking about in the times that I was like still a student, when I came here to do my internship, and I was discovering these things. I was like, oh my god. So I had to reevaluate my relationship with prostitution here, because another thing also, the prostitution here is also not very professional. So I remember I used to go out, and then when I would leave, there would be like these ladies, selling themselves on the streets. But in Amsterdam, these ladies, they will be like hustling you. They'll be asking for your attention. They'll be like calling you, hey daddy, hey, what are you doing? Let's go have some fun. But the ladies in Kigali, they will look at you as if they're like regular women on the streets. They'll be staring at you, very scarcely closed. You can definitely realize she's here for a job, but she'll still not like approach you. She'll still behave as if I should be the one who's going to like seduce her, and once or not. And anyway, that's on a side note. So by doing those three things, going to a long-term relationship, changing your physical appearance, and making a lot of money, or moving to a place where your money is more worth, so aka moving to like a country that's poor, basically, simply said, Rwanda is one of those countries. You can go to, like I said, Uganda, Vietnam, those are the countries at least that I know of. You get tested, and as a man, whatever comes out of it, you will know what is your true value, because sometimes you think like, hey, I'm like this, but once you change your body and you become hot, then you realize you get all this attention. Are you still like this, or are you now changing your standards or whatever? So guys, that was the podcast for today. This was episode number 1. I thought I would bring it out on my birthday. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this kind of content, let me know. I would like to know which. So in the next episode, I don't know which one, what that's going to be, but subscribe and just give me like a comment. I don't know if there's a way to give a comment in the podcast area. Just give me like a like, or if this thing ever makes it to YouTube, give me a comment there and let me know what you thought of it. And I'd like to see you in the next video. You can subscribe to this podcast through the whatever channels you're listening to, and stay tuned. Muramuche, we have another drink here to my birthday. 33 years old. Old man. I like this drink. Guys, to be honest, I like getting older. I feel like my value is increasing. I'm getting more knowledge, I'm getting more experience. Yeah, my body is not as fresh as it used to be, but hey, I have more knowledge on how to deal with that. Happy birthday to my cousin as well, Hope. Her birthday is also on the 15th of May. And to anyone else who has a birthday in May, cheers. Mm-hmm.